today we are going to be talking about a big topic that happens to almost everyone that gets into fitness or any kind of training, whatever it might be, and that's plateauing. Let's get right into it and explain what plateauing exactly is. Plateauing is essentially a period of time in your training regime or something with your diet where your progress comes to a halt. Okay, so you're basically, whether it's getting stronger in the gym, that starts to slow down, or you're just not seeing any progression with that, or weight loss, you may, come to a halt when you're trying to lose body fat. Those are really the two main things when it comes to the bodybuilding aspect of things. Let's start with the training part first. So you may find that your weights are not progressing, right? You're following your regime, but you're not seeing any progression with your strength. You're not seeing any progression with muscular wise. You feel like you're not adding mass to your frame. And that could be for a multitude of reasons. The first reason is programming. Okay, so maybe the workout program that you're doing could be a little bit old and repetitive for your body. Okay, maybe doing the same thing that you're doing is just not going to work for you to break through that plateau. So for example, let's say you start a program, right? You start a training bodybuilding program for hypertrophy, and on a weekly basis you are doing your exercises. Your frequency is good for each muscle group. You're training each muscle group twice a week, and you are increasing volume too on a weekly basis. There may be a point where, as you get towards the end of your program, you've accumulated too much volume and your body is not getting the recovery that it needs, okay? Simply because you're possibly in an overtrained state, okay? You're just doing too much in a session. Your frequency is too high, right, to handle all that volume, right? So let's say you're doing legs twice a week and you're training quads in those 2 days, and you've accumulated the volume on both of those days. Imagine how you're gonna feel. You're gonna feel wrecked, and that right away should be an indicator that since the volume is too high and I'm doing these leg sessions twice a week, that my strength is gonna take a hit. Like, I just simply can't recover from both of these leg sessions, and I'm not seeing progress. So what do you do in that instant, right? What do you do in that instant? The first thing I would do is I would probably have a washout period or a deload week, okay? Where I'm just giving my body a bit of rest, just giving it a little, letting it go through a phase of where, it could relax, calm down, and then start fresh with a new training program, okay? So when I start fresh with that new training program, I am basically reducing the volume, possibly reducing the frequency, and starting fresh, okay? You don't have to do anything crazy with switching out exercises. If you have exercises that you like doing and they're, efficacious exercises, then do them. There's no reason to say, oh, I'm gonna switch the exercise to shock the muscle or something. No. You don't need to be doing any of that. Stick to the basics, stick to what actually works. There's no need to get super fancy on that. Unless, of course, you feel a bit of discomfort from one of the exercises that you're doing, but that's a different story. So take a washout period, deload week, whatever you want to call it. Start fresh with a new program, possibly adjusting the frequency of that program. And then what I would do is maybe change the amount of reps you're doing in a set. So if your goal strictly is to get stronger, just get stronger. Now, of course, if you're getting stronger, you're most likely building muscle. But if your goal is from like a powerlifting aspect, I want to just purely get stronger, I don't care what I look like, then I would reduce the volume work in the lower rep ranges, okay? So anywhere from like maybe 4 to 8 reps. You don't need to be doing that many sets realistically when you're doing powerlifting. You're really trying to get as strong as possible, and then you don't want anything that's going to impact your recovery. So I wouldn't be doing excessive amounts of volume. And in that instance, if you're trying to get your lifts better, so your deadlift, squat, bench, maybe that's a time when you keep your frequency up, okay? That's the only time. So I'll be doing bench twice a week. I'll be doing squats twice a week. I'll be doing deadlifts twice a week. Of course, if you have a strong point, such as the deadlift, squats, or bench, maybe you could cut that down to once a week. But it depends on your strong points. But I don't want to digress too much from a bodybuilding aspect, okay? So from a bodybuilding aspect, if you have a muscle group that doesn't need as much work, okay, maybe cut down the frequency to once a week, okay, just to give your body a chance to kind of recuperate and not add on excessive fatigue. And maybe you could add in another day for a weaker muscle group, okay? So increase the frequency on something else that's such a weak point, okay? So again, basically what you're doing is, you know, just a little surface level of what I'm talking about here is you're going to do a washout period, take a week kind of just to relax. In that washout period, you're not really going to be doing super intense exercise. You can go to the gym and do a few sessions, but nothing that's going to impact your recovery. And then after that washout period, start with a solid program and start with the volume at its lowest, okay, from a bodybuilding standpoint as well. And increase the volume accordingly as you go through your training regime, okay? Again, it's so easy to just keep on adding sets, and it could ruin everything. It actually is counterproductive in a way. So you want to be adding this stuff accordingly, okay? So that's the training part. The diet part, so nutrition. Let's say you're cutting, okay, you're cutting. And you start to see a halt in fat loss. You're like, oh, I'm not losing body fat. You can do one of two things. You could either stick to the calories you're currently at, and maybe it's just something that you have to give time. You know, assuming you're really tracking, you're really honest with yourself. Maybe it's just something, hey, let me give it a week, let me give it 2 weeks, let me see what happens, okay, with my weight. I just have to give it a bit of time. And this is assuming you're really tracking, because some people say this and then they're not tracking accurately, okay? The second thing, if you were super honest with yourself and you're actually tracking, what I would do is taper the calories a little bit more, okay? Let's say you're having 2,800 calories and you're not losing weight, cut it down to 26, go down to 2,600. Okay, see what happens. And if you're making progress on that 26, stay at that 26 until you simply plateau, right? And then do it again, take another 200 away. Until, of course, you get to the point you're happy with your physique. So it really is a matter of, are you being honest with yourself when you're tracking your calories? Because a lot of people say, oh yeah, I'm plateauing, but maybe the source of the problem is you're not even tracking properly. I tell this to a lot of people. I'm like, are you even tracking calories? And they're like, no. Well, how do you know what you're eating then? How do you know, like, how can you track anything? Let's say you need to make a change to your diet. You need to change up the numbers. How do you know what you're consuming then? If you're just eyeballing everything and, I guess by your definition, you're intuitively eating, you're not going to be able to know what variable you got to play with here. So you really want to be on that. You want to be tracking everything so you could diagnose what the problem is right away. And then going back to the training, it really isn't a difficult thing to get past the plateau. It just takes time. Okay, the strategies are not hard. It's the time part. You have to give it time. And you know, if you treat these washout periods right and you're tapering the volume down, I guarantee you're going to see a difference in your strength, a difference in energy levels, a difference in your recovery. Okay, you're not going to feel like a zombie. These things are going to massively improve if you just do those things. Take a washout period, taper down the volume. Even, you know, powerlifting or hypertrophy, that's the thing that those two have in common. However, if you're a power lifter, you know, which this makes me circle back to, you're not going to be doing high amounts of volume. But let's say you are somehow, and you just start to build up fatigue and you feel like you're plateauing. The same principles apply. Same principles apply. You're going to have to taper the volume down and take a washout period. And then you're going to start to see much better progress. And I don't know if I touched over this, but you don't want to arbitrarily just add volume to your training routine, okay? Volume can be good, but there's a point where the volume can be excessive and it's not doing anything for you. It's not helping you build extra muscle tissue. So if you're doing, for example, chest twice a week and you're doing 10 sets in total in that week, and you know, you're doing it twice a week, the frequency is 2 times a week, and you're seeing progress, you're making strength gains, your fatigue is managed well, there's no reason to really add anything. You don't need to be doing drop sets, big giant sets. You don't need to be doing all these things. I would just stick with what you're doing. Don't fix it if it ain't broken, okay? So that's the video there about plateauing and what should you do in an instance if you plateau, which, by the way, if you're a lifter, a power lifter, bodybuilder, whatever you want to call yourself, you're going to go through times where you're going to be plateauing. So these are just some tips that I would give. Again, they seem really simple, but a lot of people just don't follow them, okay? And they may seem, when I talk about them, not super scientific or anything, but this is the kind of thing that works, okay? This is, you don't really need to get that deep with it. You know, you could stick surface level, and if you just make these changes, you're gonna see massive improvement. So again, hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you were interested, I'm doing one-on-one online coaching. So within that one-on-one online coaching, I do a customized nutrition program, customized training program, accountability, weekly check-ins. So if you were interested, DM me the word coach on Instagram, Facebook. Those are really the 2 platforms I'll be taking clients from. Or I'll just plug in my form that you could fill out with your information, and we can get working with each other. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. See you guys in the next one.